let's look at these one by one. We've got them in different areas. Look at all these kind of tools: lending, DEX, liquidity pool, farming, option strategies. Tons of tools here that we can check out. Okay, so you have some Solana, you have it in a self-custody wallet. What can you do with it? You keep hearing about all these things you can do on chain: DeFi, decentralized finance, staking, liquidity pools, all this kind of stuff that you can do on chain. Let's explore that. Let's see what the ecosystem of Solana has. It's actually pretty massive. So, I'm going to cover this in two ways. I'm just going to show you all the things you could see, and then I'm going to cover some of the specific tools that I'm most familiar with, the ones that I use. I'm also going to cover some tools that I haven't used that I've heard people use. Hopefully some of that's useful to you. All right, so I'm going to start with this tool, Sonar. And Sonar is one of two main tools I use to get visibility into my wallets to see how they're doing across a lot of the things that I'm involved in. But one of the things Sonar has is this ecosystem page. I think it's not the only one I've seen like this, but it's one I can think of off the top of my head that breaks these down by the different types that you see here. So you've got native staking, you've got liquidity pools. I clicked more than one. Liquidity pool information. You've got farming. You've got decentralized exchange. You've got lending. So these are the main types of families. And they have, as you see, this list, it's growing continuously. The last time I looked at this list wasn't this long. Now we have option strategies. That's something that's new. And so this is a pretty good place to come take a look at some of the different families of the things you can do in those ecosystems. And then you get links directly to those other tools. So this is one thing. I'm going to post it in the description as sort of a centralized place you can come and just look at all the different types of things in the Solana ecosystem with quick links into them. Fund management, gaming, compounding effects, margin. So all those kind of things. So one of the tools I want to start with is Serum. So Serum was sort of thought of as a really good use case when building Solana as this decentralized high-speed exchange with a live order book. So one of the things that's cool about Serum is really the backer of almost all other the decentralized exchanges that you see on Solana. So even when you come to Serum's website, you don't see a whole lot here, but it references you to other people who have are leveraging their decentralized exchange. So a couple of these tools that are shown here right on the front page, we're actually going to go over in a bit. An example is, I'm going to jump straight into one. Here's an example of what Raydium's decentralized exchange looks like. So you'll notice this page will look similar as you go to other people's exchanges. What they can limit what you can see, or they can expand what you can see, but you'll notice that most of these components are pretty much the same. So you'll see this order book, this buy, sell, you'll see graphs, open orders, trade history, and that's pretty common. So these are just leveraged front ends. And what I can tell is that some of them, customize this a little more than others, and they all just sort of skin it a little bit with their information on it. So an example is jumping over to Mango, right? Same deal. And then just for a point of comparison, when you see this order book and you say, okay, decentralized order book, so this order book is essentially running on chain, what does that look like compared to an exchange that's centralized, right? So if we compare this to Coinbase Pro, this is Coinbase Pro, and notice it looks extremely similar. Open orders, buy, sell, the particular thing you're exchanging between, the graph, and the order book. So this is what they mean between centralized exchange and decentralized exchange. One is running on the chain, one is, in this case, running by a major company. All right, so I'm going to dig into Raydium. So I use Raydium quite a bit. I use it primarily for pools and farms. Pools are where you put in equal amount of tokens that you have listed here. So in this top example, equal amount of SOL, equal amount of US dollar coin. And what happens is, as people trade between those two coins, you earn the fees. You have to be aware of this thing called impairment loss, which is the value you would have gained or lost had you held both of those coins individually, not in the pool. But having them in the pool, you gain the advantage of earning those fees And this is an example of showing what the APR looks like over the past 7 days. So the fees being in the SOL US dollar coin pool would have earned you an equivalent APR of 15%. Again, that's only over a 7-day period, but that APR is annualized. They also have farms, so that's equivalent to a pool, but you essentially, whoever created the farm, they're essentially using their marketing dollars to get you to know more about their coins. And so they're putting additional bonus rewards on top of what you would earn from trading. So in this case, you've got Raydium and Ethereum pool. By putting your money in one of these farms, then you're gaining not only the fees for the pool, but you're also gaining, essentially what I call the marketing dollars. So when people, companies, organizations add their pool to this list, it becomes a farm because they're putting extra yield into it, so that you know more about their coin. So it's a way of, hey, I've never heard of this coin before. What is this ninja coin? Well, they're willing to pay out a certain amount in APR. So hey, like I might join this ninja coin, and all of a sudden, because you've gathering and making some money through Ninja Coin, the thought is that you might actually go figure out what Ninja Coin actually is and learn more about it. There's a lot of talking in the space right now determining whether or not those marketing dollars are actually getting them to acquire customers, or in this case, users to these coins. But right now, that is the state of the art. So right now, there are farms, and there are other tools that can help you compound this. So you might come in here, earn your pending reward. You can split that back out between US dollar coin and Ninja again and reinvest and continue to compound and compound. And some get even crazy where they leverage that to get even more compound to try to, make as much as they can in a short period of time, particularly while these interest rates are high. A lot of times when the companies pick to put money in here, they put a fixed amount of money in over a daily, weekly, monthly period. So if there are a lot of people in the pool, you're gaining less. If there's a smaller amount of people, you're gaining more. So they usually start out by generating a lot of money for a small number of people, and then it comes down as more people get in the pool to try to earn some of that yield. All right, so one of the other things I said I did with the Raydium site is swap coins. So this is one of the first places I used to go to do swaps. So swapping, Sol to Ray, etc., whatever you want to swap between, coming here and doing swaps. And that was before I found out about this tool called Jupiter, on Jupiter.ag. And what this tool allows you to do is essentially find the best place to swap. So let's see if I can actually do this here. What do I have some of? I have a little bit of Sol in this thing. So let's swap half of it. And what it does is shows all of the different websites that you could use to swap this coin. So in this case, it found 201 different routes. And what it does is it tries to show you the best possible price you can get. So notice some of them leverage Raydium, but this actually uses two websites. So it uses Raydium and then it goes to Mercurial. In this case, it said Mercurial and Lifinity. Lifinity's, I haven't seen this one, so it might be a pretty new swapping location. Aldrin, Orca, and so it allows you to, anytime you're getting ready to swap, and it automatically consistently reloads. Anytime you're getting ready to swap two coins, you can come in here and find the best rate for your swap. One of the things I do find is, depending on the congestion of Solana, I may not want to route through two different sites. And if I can potentially get rid of like intermediate routes. So sometimes I'll scroll for the first route that doesn't have intermediate. So right here, Cropper is the first one without an intermediate. So it's a single hop. So that's the best price for that. And notice, 8.671, right? 8.679. So we're getting into the small digits there of how different they are. All right, so now comes to the two tools I use for account visibility. So these tools analyze your wallets on chain and they give you sort of a dashboard view. So the best analogy I would make is, imagine going into your broker and seeing a statement. So if you logged into Charles Schwab or E-Trade or whatever, and you wanted to see a breakdown of all the types of things you're invested in, I go to these two sites to do that. The first one I go to is Step. So step.finance is the app. Now I'm using a sample wallet here, not any of my main wallets. So what Step does is it only shows you portions of this website based on the resources that you actually have. So it's just showing balances in digital collectibles or NFTs in this particular wallet. However, one of the things I love about Step is it has a compound button. So if you are in a farm, we talked about farms a little bit earlier, and you're earning extra yield and you want to compound that farm back. So what that means is if you're earning extra Solana in a Solana US dollar coin farm, then you want to split that Solana back to 50-50 US dollar coin and add it back to the pool. And that typically means going to a different, claiming it, going to a website to swap it. You got to do all this stuff. And it has a breakdown right in the tool where you can hit the compound button and it walks you through clicking the button a few times in order to swap, automatically compound that. Now, the cool thing about this is that this is a full custody compound, meaning you're not giving up the keys to your coins. They're all stored here versus some other tools like I'll get into Tulip later, which will do auto compounding for you, but everything is managed for you. So your coins exist and are controlled by Tulip on your behalf. So if you want to continue to do it where your ledger owns the keys and you're signing all the transactions of the compound, it's really nice. Now it has, it supports Raydium pools. Now Step supports Raydium farms and their own farms. I believe their own farms, you only have to click the button once and it does the full auto compounding. If it's a Raydium farm, you have to walk through the wizard, but it still makes it way easier than trying to do it yourself. It's pretty awesome. All right, and so I love this dashboard view. They have other things here that they do, right? So they'll do swap. I think all the swaps are against Step, generally speaking. Actually, I think they can swap anything, but they might route through Step. You can see your transaction history. They've got an NFT gallery. Shows you the pools that are here. If you own Step, you can stake that here for X Step. And then as people are using this platform, you earn interest. One of the other things that they also have now is you can reward options. So if you do swaps in this tool, it'll give you the ability to earn like an option type of contract. And so, within a certain period of time, you can buy Step at a little bit of a discount. So if you want to accumulate any Step just by being a user of the tool, so it's a good way for them to sort of incentivize you doing the types of things you want to do with this tool versus, like in a liquidity pool or a farm specifically where they're just giving you money for being part of the farm. This is giving you some money for doing the things with the tool that they want you to do. So they're trying to align incentives with behaviors. So it's a really cool concept. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. What else? They have farms directly here. So you can do some farms here as well. So this is what I talked about is I believe if you enter one of these farms and you hit that compound button, it'll do the auto compounding in a single transaction for you. So really nice. Similar, I found out Sonar later, is another tool called Sonar. And, by default, they show all the sections of the website. So Step won't show you sections you don't have anything in. In this case, this little wallet's not doing much of anything, but also just give you a feel like it'll show you what you're doing in farms. It'll show you what you're doing in lending and borrowing. It'll show you any leverage you have, any miscellaneous activities, your main tokens, and then just sort of a value over time period, which is really nice. Let's see. It'll show you a nice little price graph, so it's pretty. NFTs as well, of course. One of the coolest things I think Sonar does, that's the main reason I come to Sonar, is really because they support multiple wallets. So you can click multi-wallet and then go to a dashboard for that multi-wallet and see all of the Solana wallets you have at the same time aggregated together. Step, if anybody's watching, multi-wallet makes it really nice. All right, so now I'm on the next tool. It's called Port. So Port is a borrowing and lending platform. So you can come on Port and you can supply some of the coins that you have. And depending on the coins that you're supplying, there is a loan to value that you can borrow against it. So some of them might be 50%, some of them might be 70%, some of them might be 80%. Also remember that whatever you're supplying, if it's not a stable coin, it has volatility. So if, as we went through recently, there's a big price dip and you have leverage, so you're borrowing against it, it's possible that you can go below your loan to value because the value of your supplied coin is low. Then what'll happen is they'll liquidate some of your supply at some fee in addition to that in order to cover that. So there's risk associated here. If you want to be low risk, you could do something at like 10, 20, 30% to really minimize your ability of getting liquidated. If you're over 50%, in my opinion, you're in danger zone. But it's worth knowing this is a really cool feature, particularly if you have a lot of money locked up in crypto and you want to get some cash out for whatever you're trying to do. You can get some US dollar coin, get that to a centralized exchange like a Coinbase, and have actual cash in your hand for whatever you're looking to do by leveraging your crypto. One of the things that Port is looking to do, and they've already started to dip their toe into it, is fixed rate lending and fixed rate borrowing. So those scenarios where you want to actually use that money for longer term more than a short term loan and don't want to deal with the volatility of the rates changing on you, then that new product and that product line that they're coming out with is going to be really interesting. The main sections here are dashboard, supply, and borrow. This dashboard is where you basically see all the tokens that they support. This list has been growing since I've been using it. And as you see here, like here's what you get for deposit rate, here's what you get for the borrowing rate. So some things, don't really get much of a deposit rate, but the fact that you can leverage it is why you might put it on here. And then other things have different borrow rate. And again, these can change. So they may change from month to month. Some have partners. So as you see, some of these at the top have partners associated with them. So Marinade gives you some extra rewards along with Port. Same thing here. If you put US dollar coin, Port wants to encourage people to put US dollar coin in here. So they're giving rewards for people doing that as well. And you can claim those when you log into your account on the dashboard page. If you had any rewards, you can claim them here. Then also, if you want to add some supply, you go to the supply page. And if you want to borrow, you can borrow. I believe you can repay on either the supply or the borrow page. It doesn't matter. There's a little place where you can go repay it. In this account, I don't have Port set up, but if you did, there's a little box and it would show what you owe and you can repay it. So the key here is a borrowing and lending platform. I'll say this again. I'll repeat this at the end of the video. This is not the only borrowing and lending platform. There are others. Most of what I'm showing are tools that I use specifically, but they're no by any shape better or worse than the other tools that are out here for the same purposes. As I pointed out on the Sonar watch page, they have a sortable list, and even that list is not complete. Right? Those are just the people who went to Sonar and decided to get added to that list. So there's a lot of tools. And the purpose of this video is mostly to help you understand the state of what's out there, what you have at your fingertips. Marinade. So there you can stake your Solana natively. So you can go and stake it with a validator. And I believe there's a 7-day lockup period that if you want to unstake, it takes for you to do that. You can stake through a service like Marinade, which takes a small fee to allow you to unstake instantly. And so that way you can get a more liquidity. Also, staking with Marinade gives you a token MSOL, and that MSOL can be leveraged on other platforms. For example, in Port, you can stake MSOL, so you could still be earning your 6% for staking, and you can put that MSOL on here and leverage that out. And here, in this case, the actual platform's not giving you much, but you're getting about 2.5% in combination of Port and Marinade coins. So you're getting something by putting it here. Even if you didn't borrow anything against it, you went from earning the 6% for staking and then earning these additional rewards for just setting it here on Port. Obviously, right, you went from having regular Sol to trusting Marinade to trusting Port, right? And so if anything happens with Port or anything happens with Marinade, right, you are now exposed your risk, or you've now expanded your risk. If there's a rug pull, if there's an incident with either one of these two platforms, right, you have more risk. Whereas if you're staking with a validator directly, you're more secured by the actual chain itself, that you should be able to get your staking amount back, even if the validator does something it's not supposed to do. So that's a big difference between, trying to use some of these tools to gain the extra yield is you get some extra risk. You got to decide if you want that. The last two tools I don't use, but I think they're worth talking about. I've looked at them quite a bit. I know people that use them, and they're just sort of the getting to the advanced layers of some of the things you can do on chain. I talked about on Step website being able to hit a compound button, but you own the keys, you own your rewards, and they never leave your possession. In this case, with Tulip, you can allow your liquidity pool stuff to happen in Tulip, and then Tulip has the permission to gain either your rewards and recompound for you. So it talks about, auto compounding vaults and every 10 minutes. So it's borderline continuous compound. And if you look at the math of compounding continuously, the larger the interest rate and the larger the amount of money you have in there, that continuous compound compared to daily compound, they start to drift, right? They start to drift. Let's say you're doing it weekly. So it's just a way to earn a few more percentage points. You have a decent amount of money in there. Those few percentage points could turn out to be real dollars. So this is what this tool is for. They do some other things. You can do some leverage farming, but auto vaults is what I know them for the most part. They've got some strategic vaults in here, gains exposure to multiple year farming strategies with a single deposit. So that way you can just put in US dollar coin, you can just put in Ray, and I guess it leverages it out across multiple liquidity pools that leverage Ray and try to get you a better interest return. So here's an example where they're saying, hey, like we're at this exact moment, we're averaging 98%. One of the things about all these websites that I find interesting, you have to be careful with, is they might show you interest that they gain in the last 24 hours, and then they annualize it. And then they do that every 24 hours. So this could have been 50% yesterday. Now it could be 98%. Then it could be 150%, and then it could be 10%. And so you don't have a good feel for how it looks over time. That's something I believe Sonar does. I don't have any liquidity pools here, but I'm pretty sure that if you go in here, you could see how it's doing over time, which is also interesting. Also, I don't know if this is new. Ray is a coin I have some interest in, and it might be a good way to do some Ray accumulation instead of just staking Ray, right? Staking Ray and earning that roughly 18% of trying to leverage this LP approach. I don't understand what the risks are associated with this. Like, how do you gain? How do you, can you lose? Like, what's, right? And that's the difference from just staking it directly is you're getting whatever percentage they're giving you. And that might change over time, which you won't lose any Ray. Whereas, will you lose Ray staking it this way? Or in this case, trying the strategic vault because you're not really staking it in order to try to capture a larger ROI. And then Francium, and I'm not sure how to pronounce this properly, Francium. I call this site Wild Wild West. I'm not bold enough to try it. So essentially what you do is you're looking for very high yield liquidity pools. So liquidity pools that are specifically farms. I tried to emphasize that a little bit earlier. So the coin itself is adding value to it for being part of the liquidity pool. So in this case, you're in Raydium and you're in a stars US dollar coin pool. Whoever's running stars is giving you extra stars coins for being part of that pool. And by doing nothing, that looks like today 300%. Almost all of that coming from the bonus that you're getting from the Stars Corporation. Again, that's sort of like their marketing dollars. If we dug into this, probably only a very small percentage of that actually comes from the fees of swapping. So almost all of that is just sort of the bonus that you're getting from the Stars group. This might even tell us. No, it doesn't. Oh, here it is. Yeah, so it's saying 38% of this is coming from trading fees. Then what they do is they tack on leverage. In this case, this box is like 3x leverage, up to 3x leverage, to try to make this 300%, 6,000%. With the volatility out there, this makes my head hurt. I feel like you'd get the equivalent of margin called or yield called, what is it? Loan to value called frequently. I just struggle to see how you're actually gaining. But if you want to go high risk reward, I mean, I bet some people probably put this in here for a couple of days, pull it out, a couple of days, pull it out. But yeah, so people come in here to try to see what they can do with some of these big over 1,000% pools. And I believe these are also auto compounding plus leverage. So, if you ever want to yellow it and just throw a small amount of number, whatever that number is to you, whatever small means to you, into one of these things, let me know how it goes. I wouldn't put anything I was counting on in this personally, but again, this is sort of showing the full depth of what you can do in this space. There's a lot of tools out there, and this is just scratching the surface. But if you're getting into on-chain Solana activity, the types of tools I showed today are all of the base tools you need in order to really engage in the Solana ecosystem. All right, so I just walked through a few of the tools that I'm most familiar with for on-chain resources, specifically for Solana. So this just gets you into DeFi, this gets you into liquidity pools, this gets you into farming, this gets you into leveraging, this gets you into lending and borrowing. All of the cool things that you can do if you own Solana and you want to get into the actual Solana ecosystem.